What's up, MMA fans? It's Tudor Leonte from Sherdog here, and today I'm with PFL featherweight contender Chris Wade. Hello, Chris, and welcome back on Sherdog. How are you?
How you doing, Tudor? I'm good.
I'm good as well. Thank you very much for asking. You are scheduled to face Arman Ospanov at the PFL event on June the 10th. But before we talk about that, how are things going on right now with you?
Things are great. We're here in the bubble. We just got back. We got here Saturday night, so it takes a little bit of time to get back used to life here in this restricted area when things on the outside are starting to finally open up. I'm someone who personally, if you follow me, I believe very much in people's liberties and freedoms. So to finally be getting some of that back and then to lose it again is a mental challenge for me. But I know that there's an end game, and that's the PFL featherweight championship. So there are some sacrifices that I'm willing to make in order to get there.
How's your life inside the PFL bubble?
It's a very it's a basic and regimented life. I would equate it to something sort of military-esque where maybe you're away and there's only certain things that you have access to. I am with one teammate, my teammate Ashik at Jim, who's another pro bantamweight fighter out of Long Island MMA, and he and I are spending a couple sessions a day working out and picking each other's brains to try to prepare the right way for Arman. And aside from that, I try to do a lot of rest and recovery here in the hotel room, but it's a lot of hurry up and wait, if you know what I mean. You find yourself visualizing a lot about the fight coming up and thinking about the weight cut. And it's a good way for me to do some positive reinforcement like that.
Is there anything in particular that you are watching, in your spare time?
In regard specifically to the fight, or just in general?
In general.
Oh yeah, well in general, if you follow my social media outlets, I am a huge sports fan, especially a New York sports fan. That's where I'm born and raised. So I spend my nights after my second workout. The Knicks play tonight. They're trying to survive in the playoffs, and I'll have them on my laptop. Actually, I can catch them on TV because it's a playoff game here. So I watch them, and then I'm gonna pop the Met game on after that. After we get off, they're playing a day game today. So I try to keep myself entertained with the New York sporting events. It helps me pass the time.
It's a tough one for the Knicks, but hopefully they will get the result.
Yeah, we are hanging by a thread right now. So I'm just hoping we can get one win here at home and make it a series. But man, it doesn't look great.
But listen, let's talk about something that did look great, and your performance in your latest fight. When you took a decision from Anthony Dizy, what do you remember from that fight?
Well, I remember a few things. First of all, believe it or not, a lot of people say this, but I'm one of the hardest people on myself that there are. I very rarely give myself credit for things. I like to really look inward and see where I can improve. So my goal fighting Dizy was to finish him, and to finish him with strikes, to TKO him, and that didn't happen. So even though I got a win in the PFL, when you're trying to get bonus points for the playoffs, I look at it as a partial success. I scored some points and I was able to get a win. I was able to to do some things I haven't done in the past. That being come on stronger in the fight later into the bout. Usually I'm a quick starter, and unfortunately I've slowed down a little in my later rounds. But in the fight against Anthony Dizy, I came on stronger and stronger throughout the fight. So that's something that I'm going to look to build on against Arman, who's a fast starter as well. I'm going to look to put a lot of pace on him and to try to break him with his cardio mentally, and to look for that finish in those bonus points.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you moved down to 145 for the first time in your pro career. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. This is my first, this will be my second bout ever at 145. So that first bout, that's where I'll give myself a little bit of grace and credit as well. Is if you see me again online, I'm a guy that's like in really good shape, even if I weigh like 175. I don't really carry too much body fat. So that was a really big challenge to get down to 145 pounds. I had to really change my lifestyle and to change my body structure a little bit. I'm someone who carries more muscle than some others, so I had to really diet and endurance cardio my way down to a place where I could actually make that weight and not kill myself doing it. So if you saw the fight, I started out a little slow in the first round against Dizy, and we attribute that to just the insane amount of running that I did to make the weight last time. So we went back to the drawing board, and I'm going to be doing some different things to cut the weight this time to save my legs.
When did you maturate the decision to go down?
That decision got made between like myself, Ray Cepho, my family, and my team in the probably like the February, March region, and especially after the Anthony Pettis signing. That was a situation where initially I was looking at the lightweight division again and a possible rematch with Schultz. 55 is a weight I feel comfortable at. I was successful at pretty much every level of my career at 55, but the depth and the size of some of these guys at 55, guys like Aubin Mercier and Held, they're really big dudes, and the opportunity presented itself at 145, and I think that I'm probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest dude at the weight here. So I'm happy with the decision that we made.
If you want to open about it, was a tough, cut, since it was the first time you went out to 145?
I you want to say, yeah, it was tough, and it was tough because it required a lifestyle change and a commitment that was beyond something I've done in the past. But the way I felt the whole way down was surprisingly like very, very good because of how well I took care of my body. So I was surprised at how well my body responded to me asking it to cut another 10 pounds. With that being said, it didn't bounce back as well as I wanted to fight night the next day, with my being a little flat just out of the gate. And that's something that we looked hard at. And so I want to make sure that I take care of my body in the right way this time, so that I have a lot more bounce in my step when I go in there right off the bat. I'm an explosive guy. If you watch some of my fights, I like to come right out and go after people because I'm pretty athletic. So I need to make sure that my body's prepared to do that for me.
But overall, did you feel improvement, right, in your performance during, once you were inside the cage, while you were fighting with your opponent last time?
Yes, I did. I would equate it to like when it's cold out and you start your car, and at first it doesn't feel so good to be in there. But then after a few minutes, especially if you have a good car, everything's running great, and you're warm and comfortable and things are fine. It was kind of like that. I needed about 5 minutes of moving in there to get myself going, and I just started getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So I would say overall that I did feel good, and I felt good mentally because I had more to give in that fight. And there's other times in my career where I spent everything I had to the last second when the bell rang. In that fight, I was looking around like, come on, man, just give me one more minute. Give me 2 more minutes and I'm going to put this guy away, please. Whereas in the past, I've been like, oh, thank God that fight is over. I had nothing left. So you're looking at a new guy, a guy who's ready to fight 5 rounds and to break people.
Let's talk a little bit also about your upcoming fight. The first question I would like to ask you: what do you know about your upcoming opponent, Arman Ospanov?
So I know that he is a striker mostly. I know he participated in sambo and was successful in it, a champion in it. But watching even his sambo fights, he still shows you that he's pretty much a striker. He doesn't want to engage in high level grappling scenarios. He's been submitted before, so his success comes off being elusive on his feet and being flashy, being unpredictable. I love this matchup. I've fought a lot of guys from this area in my career, more than probably any other American that you could find. I have more fights against Russian, Dagestani, Kazakh. Loic was from Tajikistan. So there's no one in the game more familiar than me with fighting guys from this area. I know that they're tough. I respect them. I respect their culture. But I know from my experiences in the past with guys like I fought Islam Makhachev, I fought Rustam Khabilov, and I gave them everything they could handle. Him to me this is at 45. He's a lesser grappler than those guys. So in my mind, he needs to be really careful to not hit the mat because I think that I can finish the fight if he winds up on the ground.
Did you work on something in particular, during your camp? If you actually had time, to prepare for a camp, given that the fights are very close, your first fight and the next one.
Yeah, well, not only are the fights very close, but they didn't tell me who I was fighting until they posted it on the internet. My friend texted me and said, "What's the deal with this guy you're fighting?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Oh, they put it on Instagram. Who is this guy?" And that's when I found out. And that was only a few weeks ago, to tell you the truth. So we did our research as much as we possibly could, like from that moment on. But it's one of those things where you try to pick up on a couple of tendencies that they have, but you still want to be yourself and do what you do well. You know, every time I cater too much to what the other opponent does, it's like you let the fight happen to you, and I want to bring the fight to him. So the plan is to show up and get in this guy's face and make it a nasty and then a knockdown drag out fight. I want to leave everything in that cage because this is the last round of the regular season. So it's explode and beat the hell out of him or go home for the year. So I'm thinking about my family, my daughter, my legacy here, and I just need to put some hurt on him until he quits.
I believe it's safe to assume that fans can expect from you, a finish, right? You are going to look to finish him. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to look to finish because the way these playoffs are shaking out, you can win 2 fights by decision and you can lose a tiebreaker to somebody who only won 1 fight but had a knockout. So I really need to score bonus points to make sure that I don't get locked into a tiebreaker. And Arman, he has 0 points, right? So for him to even consider playoffs, he needs 6 points. So you have to assume that him and his corner are trying to find a way to finish the fight right away. And I just let's look at the track records. I've been in there. I'm a veteran of this sport, and I've been in there 25 times against a lot of really tough guys, and I don't quit. So when he realizes that I'm there and that I'm going to be there, I think that's going to play on him mentally, because once he doesn't have the points, I can afford to finish in the second round and the third round, and I can still get my points and go to the playoffs. He can't do that. So from the jump, I expect a lot out of him, and I'm ready for that.
Well, so far you have never been finished inside the MMA fight, so hopefully that record will keep going on. Before I let you go, do you have any last messages?
Yeah, follow me on Instagram, Twitter at CWade MMA. I will be keeping everybody up to date on how camp is going here in the last week. How I like to try to show everybody, that these weight cuts are tough, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot of effort, and I like to show people who are aspiring to fight and how you can do it, and how you can do it in the healthiest way possible. And I like to try to give people insight into what we're going through here in the bubble, and the dedication, sacrifice that all these guys, even my opponent, are making being here. So give me a follow, and I'm going to give you a nice look into what's going on here with the PFL.
Sir, you just gained a new follower, and thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Best of luck with your upcoming fight, and hopefully I will hear again from you in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tudor. I appreciate it.
Have a nice day. Goodbye.
Bye.